Hi, my name is William Tate. I chose to write about a cultural shift that happened in the United States and the art that emerged from that movement. The movement that I chose to write about is the Harlem Renaissance. Hope you enjoy. Jim Crow laws took root as early as 1865, soon after the ratification of the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery in the United States. More than just a set of stringent anti-black regulations, Jim Crow became a persuasive societal structure. Under its regime, African Americans were relegated to second-class citizenship, stripped of rights such as voting, employment, education, and other opportunities. Defiance of Jim Crow laws always resulted in severe consequences, including arrests, fines, imprisonment, violence, and even death. The onset of World War I created a demand for employment, providing new opportunities for Black Americans in various industrial sectors of the workforce. Thus, the start of the Great Migration begins. The Great Migration, commencing in 1914, saw over 6 million Black Americans compelled to leave their homes due to unfair economic opportunities, wage discrepancies, and oppressive Jim Crow laws. Many opted for the North, where the demand for industrial labor surged amidst World War I. The Harlem District in New York emerged as a prominent destination, representing a historic moment in U.S. history, as it witnessed an unprecedented gathering of African American artists, intellectuals, and activists living and collaborating together. This period in time is known as the Harlem Renaissance. The Harlem Renaissance was a turning point in Black cultural history. It helped African American writers and artists gain more control over the representation of Black culture and experience, and it provided them a place in Western high culture. Perhaps the greatest contributor to the Harlem Renaissance was writer and poet Langston Hughes, who influenced theater in major ways. He wrote various plays, including Mulatto, Troubled Island, and The Sun Do Move, as well as musicals including Tambourines to Glory and Simply Heaven. Born in Joplin, Missouri, Hughes was a descendant of an enslaved African woman and a white slave owner in Kentucky. He attended high school in Cleveland, Ohio, where he wrote his first poetry, short stories, and dramatic plays. After a short time in New York, he spent the early 1920s traveling through West Africa and Europe, living in Paris and England. Returning to the United States in 1924, Hughes became a central figure of the Harlem Renaissance. He sought to honestly portray the joys and hardships of the working class Black lives, avoiding both sentimental idealization and negative stereotypes, as his influential work focused on a racial consciousness devoid of hate. In 1926, he published what would be considered a manifesto of the Harlem Renaissance in The Negro Artist and the Racial Mountain. Hughes wrote, "The younger Negro artists who create now intend to express our individual dark-skinned selves without fear or shame. If white people are pleased, we're glad. If they're not, doesn't matter. We know we are beautiful and ugly too." This helped set the stage for what was known as the New Negro movement. This new movement would inspire African Americans nationwide with a fresh sense of self-determination, pride, and social awareness, laying the groundwork for increased political activism. This collective awakening served as a crucial foundation for the civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s. Accompanying the literary advancements was a musical emergence embodied by the explosion of jazz. Artists like Louis Armstrong, Ella Fitzgerald, and the Duke himself. Duke Ellington revolutionized jazz through his innovative compositions and arrangements, crafting timeless classics like Take the A Train and Mood Indigo. As the leader of the renowned Duke Ellington Orchestra, he reshaped the genre, infusing it with intricate harmonies and orchestral depth. His influence extends far beyond the realm of music, leaving an indelible mark on American culture and cementing his status as a legendary figure of the 20th century. Without contributions from Langston Hughes, we wouldn't have artists like Lorraine Hansberry, which we covered in week 6 with A Raisin in the Sun, which took inspiration from Langston Hughes' poem Harlem. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode? Without the contributions of Duke Ellington, we wouldn't have artists like Luis Valdez and his project Zoot Suits, which we covered in week 3. Zoot Suits took inspiration from the style of their originators, the African American community, which made the suits popular during the Harlem Renaissance. The zoot suit would later become popular with Mexican, Filipino, Italian, and Japanese Americans in the 1940s. It's been quite a journey for me. I had the privilege of touring for 6 months with the production of Lorraine Hansberry, A Raisin in the Sun, portraying both the humble Nigerian student and love interest of Benita, Joseph Asagай, and the wealthy, arrogant man vying for Benita's affection, George Murchison.
And so to accommodate that, you mutilate it every week?
It's not mutilation.
Such a serious one. I kid. Do you remember the first time we met at school? You came running up to me and I thought you were the most serious little one. You said, "Oh, Mr. Asagay, I would like very much to talk to you about Africa. You see, Mr. Asagay, I would like to learn about my identity."
Yes.
Well, is it true that this is not so much the profile of a Hollywood queen as perhaps Queen of the Now?
As a musician and artist, I've traversed the country performing and even had the opportunity to attend the Stellar Awards show. In my music, I blend elements of jazz, swing, and hip-hop, creating a fresh sound, like the music you hear playing in the background. Reflecting on it all, I realized how profoundly my life has been shaped by the Harlem Renaissance, a movement that unfolded a century ago. Let's remember the valuable contributions of the Harlem Renaissance. Lastly, let's persist in our pursuit of freedom of expression. I am William Tate, and this was my presentation. Hope you enjoyed.